The Inuit, a fascinating people, number fewer than 200,000 in total, yet are divided into multiple tribes. They are scattered across regions near the Arctic Circle, including Russia, the United States, Canada, and Greenland. It is said that, much like the indigenous Native Americans of North America, their ancestors originated from Asia, a fact somewhat evident in their physical features. These masters of polar survival, far from the hustle and bustle of the mundane world and the chaos of war, have developed a unique dietary system at the ends of the earth, where everything is blanketed in pristine white snow. It is even said that traditional Inuit never cook with fire, forever adhering to the ancient ancestral habit of eating raw meat and drinking blood. So today, let's take a look at some of the unique dishes in their diet. The local name for snow ice cream is akutaq, a word from the Yupik people. The Yupik are an Inuit branch in Alaska, and the literal meaning of akutaq is mixture. A mixture of what? Nothing too special, just some seal fat, caribou fat, polar bear fat, or whale fat. To make it, these fats are thoroughly whipped and then mixed with some meat. If the seafood flavor is too mild, you can continue to add various types of animal marrow. And the final addition is the soul of this dish: various wild berries that are extremely rare in polar regions. It is the juice from these berries that gives the ice cream its blood-red color. This dish holds a special place in the Inuit diet. It is generally only served at various ceremonies, such as weddings, funerals, and coming-of-age rituals. Well, doesn't that sound pretty good? What? You want to recreate this delicacy? No problem. You just need to head to the butcher first. Just kidding. If you want to recreate it, you could buy American-made Crisco shortening on Taobao. Use the vegetable oil to replace the animal fat, whip it up just as thoroughly, and then add whatever berries and sugar you can tolerate. Still, I'm looking forward to seeing who can make the authentic version. You guys can tag your favorite food vloggers and share this recipe with them. Inuit meat biscuits are a food common among Native Americans. Actually, it's not just the Inuit. Native Americans also made their own versions based on the ingredients at hand. The ingredients for Inuit meat biscuits are quite similar to those of snow ice cream: meat, fat, and berries, but the proportions are different. The former is mostly fat, while this one is mostly meat and usually uses venison, probably because it's leaner. To make it, the venison is first completely sun-dried, then repeatedly pounded with a wooden mallet, and crushed into a powder with a pestle. Fat is added and mixed in, along with whatever berries and grains are on hand. Finally, it's portioned into your desired shapes and left to cool and set before it's ready to eat. This stuff is basically the Inuit version of a Snickers bar, and it's said to contain a staggering 3,500 calories per pound. When out hunting or migrating, it serves as a portable ration, making it one of the most fundamental foods for the Inuit. In eras untouched by modern civilization, because Inuit meat biscuits were uniformly shaped and easy to store and transport, they even served as a form of currency among different Inuit tribes. During the great expeditions to the North Pole in the early 20th century, meat biscuits were also a staple food for the explorers. Muktuk is also one of the traditional foods of the Inuit. The raw material must consist of whale skin attached to a certain amount of blubber. It is first cut into small pieces and then air-dried before consumption. Muktuk is typically made from the skin and blubber of bowhead, beluga, or narwhal whales. In the past, it was definitely eaten raw, but nowadays, with better living conditions, it can also be further processed, such as being breaded and deep-fried. It is said that when eaten raw, it tastes similar to nuts, while freezing it yields a completely different texture. Taste aside, muktuk is also rich in vitamin C and D. To avoid scurvy, you'd have to eat it even if it's like taking medicine. But frankly speaking, whales are top of the food chain and long-lived species. Who knows how much heavy metal has accumulated in their bodies? Scurvy is terrible, sure, but what about cancer? This dish of Inuit fermented fish heads originates from the fermented salmon that the Inuit frequently ate. Fishing is one of the crucial skills that allowed the Inuit to survive and multiply. During specific times, they would catch massive amounts of migrating, spawning salmon. Since they caught far too many fish to consume immediately, they would process the salmon, taking away the most nutritious parts like the roe and the belly, and store the rest in stone cellars built on the spot, essentially using them as reserve rations for famine years. Later, some culinary genius must have discovered that these semi-fermented fish heads tasted surprisingly good. They started collecting the heads separately, sealing them in large barrels, and leaving the rest to the bacteria. If the fermentation goes well, you get a feast. If it goes wrong and botulism develops, then everyone will be attending a feast at your house, meaning your funeral. This dish is quite famous. Canned surströmming looks like a little brother compared to it. Stinky tofu placed next to it would smell like Chanel No. 5. Kiviak, fermented seabird, is quite similar to the salmon stored in stone cellars that we just talked about. Originally, they were both reserve foods only resorted to when food was scarce. Seabirds migrate to the vicinity of the Arctic Circle to breed every summer, and the Inuit take advantage of this opportunity to hunt them in large numbers. But to make this delicacy, seabirds alone aren't enough. You also need a seal. Seal hunting is another traditional Inuit skill. Since seals are mammals and need to surface for air after diving for a certain amount of time, the Inuit would identify their breathing holes and wait by them like guarding a tree stump for a rabbit. Of course, now they have guns, so it's not necessarily that troublesome. You could just use a white cloth as a blind, initiate a stealth approach, and follow up with an aimed shot. Once the ingredients are ready, you gut the seal, removing all the internal organs, and then stuff the seabirds into the seal's belly without any prior processing. It's said that you can stuff over 500 birds in there. Afterward, you press down on the seal's belly with heavy objects to expel the air, so it's shut, and bury it deep under rocks. When eating kiviak, the refined folks carefully pluck the feathers, remove the bones, and eat it in small portions. The bold ones, however, aim right at the seabird's back door and take a massive slurp. It's incredibly refreshing and wakes you right up. That is quite the experience. I really wouldn't dare try it. When I was a kid, a bird pooped on my shirt collar, and even after washing it twice, I still felt like there was a lingering smell. If you feel that kiviak is already pushing the limits of what you can handle, I strongly advise you to skip the next part. I'll give you 3 seconds to think about it, and I'll start talking after that. If you feel uncomfortable, don't say I didn't warn you. This is a supreme delicacy where heaven and humanity unite, the absolute pinnacle of culinary arts, emphasizing the fusion of human and food. The strange-tasting walrus fat perfectly illustrates this. Before eating it, you first need to hide a large piece of fat under your armpit for a few days in advance. Afterward, whether you are sailing far out to sea or migrating, even if you are sweating profusely and your armpit is unbearably itchy, you must not take it out. This is because, during this time, you also need the fragrant aroma of the fat to lure various parasites living on your body to gather there. After 3 to 5 days, the timing is perfect. You call your friends, and the guys sit in a circle on the ground in a completely airtight room full of spring vibes. Come on, good things must be shared. So, one by one, they pull out this sweaty, precious delicacy from their armpits. It's crawling with various little bugs that have been living it up in the walrus fat. The guy with the smallest stature finishes his turn, pulls out a small knife, cuts the walrus fat into small chunks, and pops one into his mouth. It's incredibly soft on the palate, making your mouth water, and the little bugs provide a physical sensation similar to popping candy, further stimulating the taste buds. So after you taste it carefully, you say, "Mine tastes like curry, let me try yours." Hey, your little meaty fragrance? How are you all doing, viewers? Type a word to prove you haven't thrown up. I mean, with something this good, could you bear not letting more friends know about it? Say no more. To let more people experience this delicacy, let's hit the like button. To sum up, the Inuit diet is probably one of the most unique on Earth. However, while we can view it with a sense of novelty, there's absolutely no need to look down on it with contempt. Because frankly speaking, diet and lifestyle are objective choices adapted to the survival environment. Travel 100 miles, and customs change completely, let alone the distance to the ends of the earth. Look at those survival experts on the show alone. Put them in a resource-rich wilderness, and they still want to call home after just 3 or 5 days. The Inuit, on the other hand, have put down roots in the most hostile environment for their entire lives. So even if we can't respect it, we should at least show respect. Additionally, Although this race living in the polar regions relies mainly on raw meat and fat year-round, it is said that their bodies are extremely healthy, free from cardiovascular diseases, and genetically extraordinary. Even octogenarians can climb 7 flights of stairs without getting out of breath or changing color. But when I started working on this video and collected some relevant information, I realized this might just be another familiar capitalist story. Research on the Inuits' excellent health first began in the 1970s. Later, Explore magazine published an article titled The Inuit Paradox, pushing the Inuit myth to its climax. But when some scientific research teams actually conducted in-depth investigations into this group, they found that the health status of the Inuit is actually not optimistic. The incidence of arteriosclerosis and cardiovascular diseases is similar to or even higher than that of the West. Later, The Lancet published a paper stating that after investigating numerous ancient Inuit mummies, they reached the exact same conclusion. Furthermore, because they frequently consume high trophic level animals like seals and whales, the heavy metal content in the Inuits' bodies is very high. A 1960 survey on Inuit bone density also showed that whether children or the elderly, their bone density is far below the global average, and their life expectancy in the 19th century was only 43.5 years. Therefore, what ultimately put the Inuit on a pedestal was very likely just the multi-billion-dollar fish oil supplement business behind it. Of course, this conclusion is just one of many voices, because the traditional Inuit diet actually aligns with the requirements of the modern ketogenic diet, not to mention the impact of the unique polar geographical environment on the human body. In short, the impact of the Inuit diet on health is a controversial topic in academia. Are there any experts among the audience? Let's have a brief chat in the comments section.